Karen padlocked my damn workshop 2 hours before a Category 2 hurricane was supposed to hit. Yet that's how this story starts. I was standing there in my driveway, wind already tossing the branches around like Mother Nature was warming up her shoulders, and there was this bright, shiny master lock on my shed like it was guarding the crown jewels. And right there, under that stupid HOA sign with the fake gold lettering, stood Karen, arms crossed, clipboard in hand, hair sprayed within an inch of its life, not a strand moving even in 40 miles per hour winds. Your structure violates Code 4B. No unapproved external structures during storm season, she said like she was reading off the 10 Commandments. Karen, I said, calm as I could manage, that's not an unapproved structure. That's my workshop. I've had it for 5 years. You've seen me in there fixing generators, storm shutters. Hell, I welded your mailbox back on after your boyfriend backed into it last fall. She didn't blink. It was brought up in last month's meeting. You didn't attend. The motion passed. You held a vote to lock my shed? Without me knowing? Before a damn hurricane. She gave me that look, Karen 101. The smirk. The power trip. The self-appointed sheriff of our cul-de-sac. We sent an email, she chirped, then turned on her heel and walked away like that was that. Now let me back up real quick. I'm a retired Coast Guard logistics officer. 23 years coordinating emergency response operations, including post-hurricane rebuilds, fire relief, and one time, a hostage rescue in the Florida Keys that I'm still technically not supposed to talk about. My workshop? It's not a man cave. It's my mobile ops center. I've got radios, backup batteries, emergency rations, tools, medical kits all sorted, labeled, and ready to go. In that shed, I could get a neighborhood back online faster than FEMA could finish their first press conference. And now it was padlocked. Before a storm. I stood there for maybe 10 seconds, stunned. Then I felt something click in my chest. Not fear. Not even anger. Purpose. She wanted a power trip? Fine. I'd show her what power actually looks like. I went inside, grabbed my phone, and made a call I haven't made in years to an old buddy of mine, Ray, who now works in emergency comms for the state. Hey, I said, remember that surplus command trailer you guys retired last year? Any chance it's still parked behind that firehouse in Tarpon Springs? 3 hours later, storm clouds black as death overhead, I rolled into our cul-de-sac with a full-blown mobile command unit hitched to my truck. Ray had the keys waiting for me at the gate. Thing looked like a FEMA war room on wheels. Satellite dish, backup power, a full tech suite. I parked that bad boy right on my lawn, in clear view of Karen's ring cam. Then I turned on every single LED floodlight. Lit up the block like a football field. Within minutes, neighbors started peeking out. Because here's the thing, they knew me. Knew what I did. Knew that during Hurricane Irma, I was the guy who helped Mrs. Lockhart get her oxygen working when the power went out. Knew that after the big freeze last year, I'd handed out bottled water and power banks from that same, unapproved structure. So yeah, when I opened the rear doors of that trailer and set up a table labeled Emergency Hub, folks came. First just curious, then a little concerned, then grateful, because I had real-time radar. I had updates from the state. I had sandbags. I had warm coffee. And Karen? She was livid. I caught her pacing her porch like a caged lion. She didn't say a word for about 20 minutes. Then she came marching over like she was storming Normandy. You can't have that here. That's a violation of HOA code. Wrong. I cut her off. Temporary emergency infrastructure approved under state statute during declared weather events. You want to write me up? Go ahead. But I'd read page 7 of the Disaster Response Exemption Guidelines first. She blinked, thrown off. You can't just park a government trailer here. Not government, I said. Privately donated. On private property. Also, here's a copy of the Emergency Exemption Code, highlighted for your convenience. I handed her a laminated sheet. Yes, laminated. Because I come prepared, Karen. She stormed off again, muttering something about calling the board. Too late. Half the board was already at my trailer sipping hot coffee and watching the radar loop. And then because the universe has a sense of humor, the storm hit. Sirens started wailing in the distance. A transformer popped. The neighborhood went dark. Except my lawn. The trailer glowed like a lighthouse in a sea of black. And suddenly, that laminated paper meant nothing. Because people were scared. They needed updates. They needed batteries. They needed hope. And I was the only game in town. Karen came back again, this time with a flashlight and a folding chair. "Can I join the hub?" she asked, voice low. I looked at her, then looked around at the line of folks waiting for power banks and storm updates. "Sure," I said, moving aside just an inch. "As a volunteer. Coffee self-serve. Bathrooms are out back." That night, we operated like a little navy in suburbia. I had people taking shifts monitoring weather. A teenager named Max helped translate updates into Spanish for a few older neighbors. The Thompsons brought over soup. Even Karen, I'll admit, helped carry out blankets and organize a supply list. But the smirk? It was gone. For good. Next morning, the mayor himself came by, making rounds. I didn't expect it. He shook my hand, thanked me for stepping up, and asked if I'd consider joining the city's emergency planning committee. Guess who overheard that? Karen. By the end of the week, photos of the trailer were all over our local Facebook groups. People posted selfies with the neighborhood command center. Someone even made a meme of me labeled Captain Common Sense. Then came the HOA emergency meeting. Karen tried to play it cool, said the trailer undermined authority and set a bad precedent. But then 3 neighbors stood up, folks who rarely said anything, and laid into her. She locked the only place we had for supplies. She endangered the neighborhood. She's drunk on power, and we're sick of it. It was brutal. Then, to top it off, Mrs. Lockhart stood oxygen tube in her nose, voice shaking, and said, "If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have known my backup generator was dead. I could have died." That was it. The vote was unanimous. Karen was removed from her position as HOA chair right then and there. Her clipboard was literally taken from her hands. I didn't even know that was a thing you could do, but damn, it felt like Christmas. And me? I didn't gloat, didn't smirk, just nodded, shook some hands, and started drafting a plan for a permanent community emergency locker on the edge of the park. City even approved funding for it. Karen still lives down the street. She doesn't talk much anymore, keeps to herself. The padlock's still on my old shed. I kept it there, hung it on a nail inside the new community center as a reminder. And sometimes, when a storm's brewing and the wind picks up just right, I see her peeking out from behind her curtains, watching. I guess the question is, how much control should one person have over a neighborhood? Where's the line between rules and reason, between order and overreach? Hell if I know. But I do know this. Next time someone tries to padlock your shed before a storm, don't just cut the lock. Bring a command unit.